good
That
time.
has got to be a louder noise than any other noise we've ever had behind the scenes here. We are underground and hiding from you guys. Just kidding. Welcome back to SJU. I'm Roxy Striar. We have so much stuff to talk about today alongside Danielle Radford.
Huh.
Just a hello.
Just a hello.
It's one of those days. We've already ruined enough stuff for ourselves this morning. we got to get back in the spirit. Greg Alba.
Hello. How are you?
Like, did I put something in your guys' drinks today? Like, something is in the water.
The aspartame.
I guess we'll see how he says hello. Dan Murrell.
Hi.
It's very gentlemanly.
It's
hello.
timid
You
SJU
guys,
today.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm getting the sense it's going to be a weird one today.
I hope so.
Isn't it always?
And Ryan's just sitting there, like, eating his snacks, watching us like we are the amazing people we are. Okay, we have to talk about so many things. First of all, Tony Stark possibly making an appearance again. Did we say bye too quickly? Do we want to see him? We're also talking about The Walking Dead because dead apparently it is not. And Tom Welling's return. I sense a theme for today's show that we will not let things go. Nope. They always come back because that's what 2019 does. They reboot and they make sure that nothing ever really fully dies. Good for us, guys. We did that as a society. But I'm actually pretty excited about these stories. Let's start with the Tony Stark one. There was a kind of throwaway line in a Deadline article that teased an Iron Man return for Robert Downey Jr. in the upcoming MCU Black Widow film. It was very, very brief, but is this something that you guys would possibly want to see? And in what sense? Would you want it to be a flashback kind of thing? Would you want it to be a hydrographic, whatever, video image? What's that word?
The whole
hologram?
Hologram,
Yep.
yeah, hologram.
I got there eventually, Greg. Thoughts, Danielle?
For me, anything that serves the story. If it actually serves the story and it's not just, hey, look, we got Tony Stark here. You like some Tony Stark, and so we put it in the Black Widow movie. If it serves the story, great. If it's just so that they can have an excuse to use up all of the stock footage that they have of Robert Downey Jr. before like it no longer matches his age, then no, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's probably. I've heard a rumor that it might be unused Civil War footage, especially based on the timeline of where the Black Widow movie takes place.
We just got a strong yes from the crowd.
Yes.
A hard yes.
I mean, I feel like when we watch the movie, it won't be a big deal, but in terms of hearing the news, I'm like kind of cynical towards it. I'm a little bit like, I don't want it in this movie because I feel like he said bye in Endgame. And then there was so much of his shadow living in Far From Home, and that was so much about letting go of Tony Stark. And Robert Downey Jr. has come out being like, yeah, I'm done with the MCU. And then they're starting Phase 4, and then he's making an appearance in it. I'm like, at this moment, I don't really care for it.
He might have actually meant it. I mean, if it is a deleted scene from Civil War. Dan, is there any kind of footage of him that you would want to see in this movie?
I mean, it makes sense with the timeline. It's post if it's at post Civil War. Yeah, they have footage. I think there's footage in the trailers of a scene with Tony Stark and Black Widow that didn't make it into the movie. It'd be a way to set it up. They don't have the money to get him to come back. Like he's into the millions of dollars like per second of screen time at this point. So I don't think that he would be overshadowing the film in the way that he did. He didn't overshadow Spider-Man: Far From Home, but he was a huge figure in the film. I think this is just set up, and it doesn't trivialize or cheapen anything to me. Because if this were set after Endgame, and they just bring him back for whatever reason, then it's like, no, come on. But, it's set before Endgame. It makes sense that he would be there. He's alive at this part, and if they have the footage and they want to use it, that's certainly their right to do it. It doesn't particularly bother me.
Is there somebody you guys would rather see a cameo or appearance from, or dig up old footage?
Hawkeye? That just seems like to be the one that would make the most sense, especially with the whole, like Ryan nodding at me. Like, yeah, Greg. Yeah, that's a good point, man.
Ryan's getting so much love this
Ryan's
episode.
participating so much today.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they talk about all that Budapest stuff in like Avengers, and they mention it again in it was Endgame, right? So I feel like having a Hawkeye appearance would make the most sense, and especially when they're doing Phase 4 with the Disney Plus show. I feel like the time would be like I said at the beginning of this. I feel like when I watch it, I'm not going to be like bothered by it at all. It's just in the announcement of it. I go, I just kind of want us to move past his presence just a little bit, especially when we're starting a new phase.
Danielle, do you think that this is kind of a way to get more butts in the seats if they find out that there is a Tony Stark appearance and they don't know if a Black Widow movie can stand alone without having some more ties to the previous MCU?
You know, I don't even know if it's necessarily because they don't think a Black Widow movie would work. I think it could possibly be that the reason why they want folks talking about it is because it could have been any movie, honestly. Any movie where it would make sense to have Tony Stark. It's just this is the one where it does. Then they're going to be like, oh yeah, we've got some Tony Stark. We can throw him in there. It could have been anything. I don't know if it's necessarily specific to Black Widow.
Okay. Do you guys think that we are missing something now? Without our Tony, do you think that there is this void and he was that powerful of his character that without him here, you are concerned about the future of the MCU in general or this specific movie? No?
No. I mean, I really don't think he's going to be very important in this movie at all.
Yeah.
How many minutes do you think? Under 5?
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2. Okay.
I really don't think he's going to be integral to this movie at all. And I think that they've established plenty. If Thor Ragnarok hadn't happened and established, really cemented people's love for that character, and if the Guardians of the Galaxy weren't around, and, you know, who knows what's going to happen with Spider-Man. Right now he's out. But I think they've got plenty of people that can step up and fill the void, and you don't want to run it into the ground. I think he exited at the right time.
Yeah.
What more can you say with that character? He went through every iteration.
Yeah.
It was time. It was time, and I think it's satisfying, and I think they're perfectly capable of moving ahead.
Now, I agree that the cameo will probably only be like a couple minutes, like you're saying. Would you be annoyed if they showed it in like any of the upcoming Black Widow trailers, though?
I have a feeling that they probably will.
Yeah.
And that will be frustrating to me if they do a 2-minute scene with him and we see, I don't know,
like
5 seconds of it, and
like
it's whatever the funniest
cameo.
or most poignant part is. Yeah. I bet so, because I think they're probably going to use it as a marketing tool if they have it. Danielle, what about you? Would you be upset to see that in a trailer?
I think, if anything, now us talking about it now is like what preps it and what primes it for people. If they have it and they can put it in the trailer for even like 2 seconds, even if it's just a scene of his face and them talking, or something where it's like, you know, blah, blah, blah years ago, and you see him really quickly and then that, they're going to use it. Because why wouldn't you? If you have it and you know that this is something that you can use potentially to bring people into the seats, why wouldn't you use it? It doesn't bug me. Because I'm already on board for the Black Widow movie. I'm excited to see what it's about. I'm excited to see the new performances. I'm excited to see where it carries, maybe that becoming a legacy character. And so the Tony Stark of it doesn't bug me as much as I think it's bugging some people, just because it feels like they're kind of leaning on it. But I think it's fine. And even if it's in the trailer, it's not going to bother me.
Do we think as a panel, because Dan, you already kind of shared this, that there is no way they shot new material with Robert Downey Jr.? Or do you think that it is possible that for this movie, he came out and shot a scene, even if it's only himself, green screened, whatever?
If they did, it would have been one of those, like, Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't know that she's in she doesn't know that she's in Spider-Man things. It's like they just put him in something where it's like, oh no, we're gonna use this and blah blah blah, and then he's like, you tricked me.
Yeah.
Guy's still underground.
We moved to an airport.
The train is moving on. Sorry. What do you think,
I can feel it.
No, I just said we moved to an airport.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, guys?
I think that Robert Downey Jr. has a lot of respect for the character and a lot of respect for how he went out. So I would be very surprised to hear that. Again, I really think this is we're coming off such a huge Marvel news cycle that we're just like fiending for information, and
give me,
exactly. I really think that this is in the grand scheme of things, going to be a very, very minor part of this movie. I'm much more excited about seeing David Harbour introduced to the MCU. I'm much more excited about Taskmaster.
Yes.
and seeing we got this glimpse of Natasha at work at the beginning of the Avengers, and then almost every other time that we've seen her, if not every other time, has been in the context of her with the team. I'm much more excited at seeing her work apart from everyone.
We haven't even seen our apartment. Everyone else has a house.
Where you live, girl?
She don't live nowhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting though, because I am getting a sense from the table right now that it feels like a little bit of Tony Stark / previous MCU fatigue, and we're ready for that next chapter. Greg, is that how you're feeling? Like we just kind of want to leave these names behind and start this new.
Well, just in the announcement of the news, because the flip side to this this potential thing of Tony Stark appearing was Natasha was introduced in Iron Man 2. So I think if this is Scarlett Johansson's final Black Widow movie, I feel like it is kind of cool to have a little cameo in there.
Full circle.
Yeah, a little full circle treatment for her. So I'm actually, I don't know, it's that thing where we can speculate all we want, get annoyed, but then when we watch it, we're going to be like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's fine. It's cool.
All right, well, we are at this train station, so let's move this train right along. Wow, guys, was that like one of my best transitions?
That was so good.
Is it as cool because I called it out? Just wondering if that made it work even better. Probably not. So we will get to The Walking Dead in a minute, but we're talking about all this great, cool, nerdy stuff. And Dan, I know that you met some of our friends at a Comic-Con several years ago, and now we are working with them to support September being Suicide Awareness Month. If you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, the last couple of years we've met up with some awesome people from Stack Up, which is a fantastic organization. They work with veterans to connect them with civilians, allied service members to help in crisis intervention, suicide prevention, mental health issues. But their main focus in doing that is through video gaming and the community that has built up around that. That is something that is a passion that is shared by a lot of people in the armed services. That's also something that's shared by a lot of civilians. So Stack Up works with those veterans to connect them with other veterans, other service members, and civilians in the community. They not just through gaming, but also through things like taking the groups to conventions like Comic-Con, where we met them,
Cool.
Gaming events, stuff like that. It really is just meant to help assist that transition, to assist veterans that may have come back, wounded. So many different amazing things that they do. They also have one thing that we wanted to particularly spotlight is their Stop program, which is based on Discord. Discord, it's a reach out program where veterans and civilians can find trained and certified peer-to-peer assistance in crisis intervention, suicide prevention, and issues concerning mental health. Again, Discord, something that is used in gaming a lot, and more just as a community tool. And another way that Stack Up is taking that and really using it to do some good. So you can visit stackup.org, and there's that link and more information down there in the description below.
They clearly have their finger on the pulse with Discord. That's awesome. Stackup.org, again. At this point, we've been talking about for a little bit, so if you haven't visited yet, just go to stackup.org and check it out. We also, while you're here, guys, would love if you would like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. There's tons of great stuff on fandom.com, like the Dark Phoenix Honest Trailer and the Honest Trailer commentaries also. Just make sure that you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that bell notification, and all of that great stuff.
I must say that the Dark Phoenix commentary is maybe definitely one of our longest. But maybe one of my favorites.
Is that a selling point? Oh, favorite's good.
Yeah, longest and favorite.
Since we moved channels, probably. So.
Ryan says it's the best one since we moved new channels, which I feel like is a judgment on our other episodes, but that's okay.
Brutal.
It's got its legs going.
It's got its legs going. We started out slow, is what Ryan is saying, and
again, Ryan,
one more
with
week
so
without
much,
a camera, Ryan.
so much love
We're
from
up to
Ryan.
3 weeks now.
So I think because nothing else is going on, we're ready to go into our second story about
what is going on.
Greg. What happened?
Some people say that I'm a cinema addict who came from the bite of the apple to the land of love.
It's the Masked SJUer.
Oh, the Masked SJU!
That Joe made me wear this mask.
It's amazing.
I'm here to make a very important, serious announcement about our business. Joe was like, more importantly,
wear the mask.
I'm actually incredibly impressed with how smoothly you just did all of that. That could have been, like, I was expecting cameras to fall. So we have Roth back, and I feel like I have not been sitting at this table with you in
So long, I miss you.
a year. It's been a long time. You didn't know, but we've moved to a train station.
No, I did know.
Oh, you did know, okay.
I brought them with me today. We're doing a little construction. We're going to be in a new studio. It's right outside. Yeah.
Good. We will be the street people now. So Roth, what did you come to share with us today other than this mask?
I have two very, very important announcements.
Okay.
The first one, of course, is about the Masked Singer. And this will mean something to some, but not all of you.
Okay.
It is coming back.
Yes, it is.
And Dan, Joe, Spencer, and myself on Thursday shows will be briefly, not too long, you should still tune in, we'll do other things, talking about it. I want to unpack this mask, which was sent to me by the producers of the show, but it's called the Ladybug. But talk to me, people, because this is the Ladybug via Pulp Fiction's The Gimp.
It's a Gimp. It's definitely a Gimp
what's
Ladybug.
going on with this mask? Oh man, I can't wait for this show.
She's kind of amazing.
She's amazing. But I want
Look at the
guesses. By the end of me making this announcement, I want everybody to have a guess about who this is.
We will keep our Masked Singer segments to
5 minutes.
20 to 25 minutes.
Just get like 30 tops.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour.
Maybe an hour.
Somewhere
for the
between
finale.
5 and an
Yes.
hour.
I guess if you guys should just start watching. Just
Yes.
start watching the show then, because that's the move.
Look, it's
Play along with the madness.
Yeah, like it's the harbinger of the apocalypse, but man, it's sweet. It's a sweet end of the world.
It would be amazing if that was the sole announcement you came to say.
Masked Singer's coming.
Thank you so much, Roth.
Well, if we're honest, it is the more important one. That's one that I think people may have some mixed feelings about, but I hope what you guys are all excited about is that we've been very, very hard at work on a feature documentary about Galaxy Quest. And it's done! Yay! Yay! We have a couple of color and sound and mix and music things, but other than that, it's done! And it's going to be delivered literally on October the 2nd, in which I run to an airport, get on a plane, and go to New York because we're going to premiere it at New York Comic Con on Saturday night. And
That's amazing.
People will be there. We'll have some screen junkies there. We will show the movie. It'll be very, very exciting. It's sort of about both the making of Galaxy Quest and also kind of the rise of geek culture combined and what it predicted in that. It's got the entire cast of Galaxy Quest plus Damon Lindelof and Greg Berlanti.
Oh my God.
We have poured a lot of our heart and souls into this as a team, and we're very, very excited to share it with you guys. So I hope you guys come. And I don't know where I'm looking. What camera am I looking at? Let me put the mask back on.
Just look at us. We miss you.
I miss you guys. Come see Galaxy Quest and Screen Junkies at Comic-Con. Wow, Greg Alba, come on down.
Yes. And just as seamlessly, we've lost her.
Oh, uh-oh.
Oh gosh, what's happened? It's hard to tell which one's Roth and which one's Greg. They just...
I'm Nick Mundy.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Everyone's like, oh, why'd she leave? We missed her. No, let Greg stay away, please.
In all seriousness, though, that sounds unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I cheated because I've seen it.
Yeah, we've.
And
Well, what the heck, guys?
it's pretty cool.
Pretty.
Where was
I'm
my
not gonna lie.
invite to this private screening of yours?
There's tears. There's tearing. It's
Wow.
Oh, I did. I choked up at
Really?
many
Damn.
spots. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a show that's made me choke up many times, but I know some people feel like it has fallen off a little bit. I personally think that it's the strongest it's ever been. The Walking Dead. If you guys fell off this show, I'm telling you, it's a good time to come back, because apparently we're not going anywhere. AMC Network's CEO Josh Sapin on Thursday said the Walking Dead franchise is hardly dead, pun intended, despite the lower ratings in recent seasons. His quote was, "We have an awful lot of life left in The Walking Dead. I mean, decades and decades of life left." Decades and decades, y'all.
Awesome.
That is quite the statement. Danielle, I feel like you have some thoughts on this.
Well, so it was told at the Goldman Sachs Communicopia conference.
That is true in New York City, yes.
So does that? I have never.
It's the party of the year.
It's a party of the year. I assume it's a lot of talking to the people with the money, and that's why you say things like that.
What would make you think that? The name Goldman Sachs.
The name Goldman Sachs, yes.
I also have never attended this conference before, but I would think similarly to you.
Whoever came up with the name Communicopia should be fired.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless they're a nice person, and then like maybe just like a slap on the wrist
Was it
or
Chloe,
something.
the director of marketing?
Yes.
Did she,
The director of
has she
marketing.
moved on to
It was probably her.
Goldman Sachs Communicopia? Actually, that's very much that actually does check out. Running a business into the ground and then getting a job at Goldman Sachs is just peak Wall Street.
Can't wait to
true.
see what she looks like in her new little suit.
Exactly.
I did forget to ask you about how you're feeling about Chloe and Movie Pass possibly coming back, which is unbelievable. I guess we'll talk off air
Really?
about that.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
really- Damn.
every day there's something new with that. It's just incredible.
Movie
But
Pass is dead. Long live Movie Pass.
yeah, wild. But decades and decades,
Cult
guys. Obviously, there's tons of people who have been reading this for a long time, and we've gotten 2 shows so far. Both of them pretty loved, even though the ratings are down. What do you think he is referring to when he says decades and decades? Do you think he means of literally the Walking
one show?
Yeah. Do you think he's talking about spin-off after spin-off?
Yeah, it's got to be like, I have more stories I want to tell in this world.
Sorry.
I thought you were just concurring with what Danielle was saying.
I took that as agreement.
Agreed.
You can't take it back now.
Snaps for Danielle, everyone.
But yeah, I just think it's one of those things where it's like, we have more stories we can tell in this world, and so we're going to tell more of those stories. And whether they are stories that run concurrent to the story, but just maybe in a different zombie-filled place with different zombie killing people, or I don't know. I want to see, what I want is just a hot Zom on Zom rom-com. That's what I want.
Zom Zom rom-com.
Zom Zom rom-com.
Like 2 zombies falling in love,
Yes.
or like warm body situation. Okay, so like two
no, 2
zombies.
zombies.
She did say Zom Zom.
Zom com.
Zom Zom.
Zom- Zom-
Greg, you gotta listen to the
I'm
specifics of
sorry.
the Zom Zom rom-com.
I
Okay.
feel terrible.
Dan, how are you? What are you thinking about this statement? Decades and decades. What does that mean?
Optimism on Dan's side, I could feel
I
it.
was thinking of the phrase, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. And I think
Good.
Walking Dead has decided which path they're going to take, because even the best shows of all time don't last forever.
Right.
There have been some. I mean, you have The Simpsons, which is still on the air.
Grey's Anatomy.
Law and Order? How long was Law and Order on the air?
Well, it depends.
have like
There is
14
still a
spinoffs.
Law and Order.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Supernatural.
but no show, even the ones that have been on for 20 years, no show is able to capture the zeitgeist for that long. I mean, you have brief periods, they have flashes, but
Right.
then obviously the AMC is content to have The Walking Dead be the show that's just kind of hanging around. It's there.
So you think they are
As long as it doesn't lose
specifically?
money, then they'll just keep making it.
You think they're specifically referring to their flagship, The Walking Dead original show?
I think they're going to trot out everything they can with the Walking Dead name on it until people literally tell them that they don't want them to make it anymore.
True.
And
True.
how do people do that by not watching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, what do you
Popularity.
think? What does this mean? What does it all mean, Basil?
I completely echo Dan's statements here, but I have heard, because I fell off after I watched season 8 episode 1 and I was like, I'm done with this show. I
You
literally
made it 8 seasons,
It
though.
was the only show I ever actually consciously quit, and then I decided to watch Rick Grimes' last episode, and they're making the movies too. That's right, forgot all about that. So I know
How
they're
could
making
you
like a
forget?
trilogy of Rick Grimes standalone adventures.
I believe, and then they're going to be
Yeah.
TV movies or something.
And I thought because I remember Universal Pictures put out the one for the teaser trailer during Comic-Con, and so is that going in the theaters?
I thought that they were airing on television, but I could be wrong
They
about
said it
that.
was, they said coming to theaters, but I'm sure it's
Limited
probably some
release,
sort
yeah.
of like
Right,
limited
right.
engagement
Well,
type thing.
I hear Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead is some of the best it's ever been. Like Walking Dead fans have been saying that. Dan's eyebrow raise is not real.
I'm serious. I feel like after Rick left the show,
It got great, right? That's
it
what I
really
heard.
did. I loved this the second half of this most recent season.
Well, how would you like to see, for people who are actually watching it, how would you like to see it evolve? Other than Zom Zom, You know, do you want to see Zoms run? Do you want to see Zoms go to space?
So quick insight into my soul. I was a Girl Scout until I was 18 because that's when they kick you out and you're not allowed to be anymore. I don't know if I've ever quit anything in my life. I don't know how, as unhealthy as that might be. So I've committed. This has taken up a decade of my life, and I'm not leaving. So they can have me at their will, and I hope they treat me kindly and provide stories that I would like to watch, because I'm just being honest with you guys and myself. At this point, I'm riding the wave.
Right.
Put a hole in the box so that Roxy can breathe.
Yeah.
Make sure you feed her 3 times a day.
Exactly. For decades and decades.
I had held out hope because we'd reached a point in the story this season where in the comic they had a huge culling. They basically had a big explosion of people, and then something happened that cut the number of people down drastically. And I had hoped that that's what we were heading toward, because it would have been a big, shocking event. And they did like a 1/20th scale version of it, and they knocked off a few people, but that for me is because that's really why I've jumped off board with the show. It's just this lack of focus. And there's so many characters at this point that, like, Daryl will disappear for like 3 episodes at a time, or somebody will walk in and start talking, and I'm like, who is that? Because they introduced them once last season, and then they were in one other episode, and now they're walking back in. It's so sprawling at this point that it never really gets any momentum. There's still only a few people that you really care about. And I also think that they haven't figured out how to tell a story from beginning to end in the season. They have 1 or 2 interesting episodes at the beginning of the season, and then a bunch of people yelling and running around the woods and shooting at each other for like 5 or 6 episodes straight, and then they'll have 1 or 2 compelling episodes at the end of the season. They have not figured out how to do the storytelling that they were doing in the first, in my opinion, 3-4 episodes of the season. Negan was the jump the shark moment for me for this show. When they brought in Negan, I think they lost, strangely, they lost all momentum, all focus, and I don't think they've ever gotten it back. And it was already on shaky ground before Negan. Just these 5-episode long quests that end in that go nowhere.
Do you watch Fear the Walking Dead?
I do not watch Fear the Walking Dead. That's the other thing, is like I don't really have a thirst to watch more than one Walking Dead show. Some other people do, which is great, but
So I watched the first episode of Fear the Walking Dead, and they killed off my favorite character in the first episode, and I was like, I'm not doing this again to myself. I can't right now. So I think that it's interesting because they have not had the success with Fear that they thought that they would. Yeah. Do you guys think that they are intending to launch another branch in a different part of either America or the world, and that's their wave of the future?
I think go to a different country. Yeah, go to a different country or something. Go to a different part of the. I don't know. Like I watched the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, and it was all right. I heard like when it got to the 3rd season, it got great. I guess I don't have the patience anymore to like keep watching a show till it gets great when everyone says it does. But I might be interested if they went to a different part of the world.
They need an unrelated spinoff.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated. New show. Has The Walking Dead on it, but new show. Because even, again, I don't watch Fear the Walking Dead, but just from the promos I've seen, it looks like Fear the Walking Dead has now gone from its own thing to here's the cast members that aren't on the other show anymore, and now they're all over here now. Yeah. Which is also kind of strange, and just the odds of that happening are staggering. But I think that you can revitalize things by basically going back to the beginning and saying, like, it's going to be a spinoff, but we're going to find a way to make it as compelling. No, it's a tall order, but they seem to be content with making The Walking Dead a soap opera. Right. And that's why I jumped off board, is like they're obviously going with quantity over quality, and the reason that I struggle, and I am still, because I can't quit TV shows either. The reason that I'm struggling with keeping up The Walking Dead is it feels like a soap opera to me. It doesn't really matter who the people are. It doesn't really matter. They're going to cycle in and out of the show, and it's just a rotating, revolving door, and every once in a while something might happen to them, but it's literally just almost a time filler.
Let me ask you guys this. How would you feel about not a different place, a different time? If we jumped into the future, would that make you guys feel like it would affect The Walking Dead because we would know how zombies end up? Or do you feel like if we go into the future, we could play with how we've evolved and how they've evolved?
I think it would have to depend on how far in the future, because if it is something where it's like, oh, it's 15 years from where we just left, I think then that causes some storytelling problems. But if it's like, hey, it's been 100 years, 150 years since we dealt with the zombie epidemic, and maybe the world somehow gets even worse, or maybe we're actually starting to see like civilization and how they're dealing with the zombie problem, that could be interesting. It just depends for me where on the timeline it would be.
I agree. Yeah, like a rebuilding, because when you think about it, after probably 20 years or so, it would get a little manageable because the zombies, and we've already seen this, they all start just rotting away. Deteriorating, and then you only have to deal with the new ones, which is like a fractional amount. So after 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years, I think you would get to a point where zombies exist. Obviously, everyone has this infection, so when somebody dies, they become a zombie or a walker.
Right.
Use that word. Don't use the Z word. But so it's this idea of like we're rebuilding society, but also this is still a threat if it's not handled properly.
Yeah.
And I think that adds a new dynamic. I'd be interested in that.
What if there was a show in like a different weather type of environment? Like, what was that one, Dead Snow or something like that?
Snow, yeah.
We did one that was like in the ice or snowy grounds or something.
I don't know if that's enough for me to be like, now I'm in because the snow silences the fall. Yeah. But I get what you're saying. I think that this is the kind of conversation they're probably having in the rooms right now. Like, how do we keep this Walking Dead franchise alive? We either have to go somewhere different, change the stakes, or go to a different time, because we can't just keep deciding and now we pick Minnesota, because America, they've got to change something, and we have to change something too. Moving on, talking about Smallville's Tom Welling, who is returning, guys. He's reprising his role as Clark Kent in the upcoming 5-part Crisis on Infinite Earths. Cool. Something that I'm spending 90% of my days thinking about. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am so ready for this. This is via TV Line. This is a quote from Mark Guggenheim regarding Tom reprised role, which is hysterical to me. He says, quote, "For 8 years, Arrow has stood on the shoulders of Smallville."
Has it? Really?
For 8 years, Arrow stood on the shoulders of Smallville. He goes on to say, simply put, there would be no Arrow and no Arrowverse without it. So when we first started talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths, our first, second, and third priorities were getting Tom to reprise his iconic role as Clark Kent. To say that we're thrilled would be a Superman-sized understatement. I mean, I guess let's just break down the stood on the shoulders part of this, because team this side of the table seemed to laugh as hard as I did on that. Is that true?
I think I get what he's saying, and that Smallville did open up this lane for the WB,
Lois
the CW, this Lois lane, and showed that this kind of show could be viable, but a lot of other shows tried to come after that too, which didn't work, and it wasn't like
Birds of Prey show.
Yeah, it wasn't like there weren't attempts to be made. Arrow worked because people, and at least that's another one you can argue about whether or not it's fallen off, but the quality was there. And with all of these other interconnected shows, they work because of the quality of them. Yeah. It's not just, Smallville worked, so this is going to work, because they tried that and that didn't work.
And they're so different of shows. I never finished Smallville. As of 2 days ago, I'm halfway through season 7 of Arrow. That's actually the only one I am committed to finishing for some reason.
Dude, I watch every single live action DC CW TV show. I'm in it to win it. Dan, are you excited to see Tom Welling return? Are you going to watch The Crisis?
I don't watch any of the shows. I didn't watch Smallville. I don't watch any of the CW shows.
Is there anything that would make you excited enough?
This sounds cool, with Brandon Routh coming back, and it sounds fun. Right? I feel like I'd be lost. I wouldn't know what the hell was going on.
It's like a reign.
That might happen either way.
Reign of Superman.
I mean, this statement about Arrow and the Smallville, he's just blowing smoke up Tom Welling's butthole.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what happens. That's how they got him to sign on. I mean, that's just,
we
that's
couldn't
what
have done it without you, Tommy.
If you ever want to know what an executive producer does, read this statement. That is exactly what an executive producer does.
You know what's sad though is like they announced a long time ago Burt Ward is coming back, right? And I'm sure they called Burt Ward, who is just as vital and important to the history of DC television, and they said, "Burt, would you like to come in this?" And I'm sure he was like, "Absolutely, I would love that." And so they don't have to put out a statement like this about him. They just say he's coming back. But I'm sure with Tom Welling, there was a lot of like, should I, shouldn't I? And it's like a sexier get for them right now. So they released this massive, like, we couldn't do it. You couldn't do it without him. You could, how about, we're just so excited to have everybody and we're not standing on anybody's shoulders.
Even though I didn't finish Smallville, I'm excited for this for a couple of reasons. I did watch the last scene of Smallville when I was like, oh, he's not wearing the suit. Then this is like some weird CGI thing that's going on. And the second thing is
Interesting choice, by the way.
I just skipped ahead.
Yeah,
and then I went, I finished the Elseworlds Part 1 of Season 7 for like when they did the crossover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when they cut to the Kent farm, they were playing the Smallville song, and I was watching this on my phone going, oh my God, he's coming. And then
And
it
they
wasn't
actually
him.
used the footage that was of the Kent farm from Smallville.
And then they used,
which
and
was fun.
they
Yeah.
were playing the Smallville song. Somebody said that one. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. So that actually got me really excited. So I didn't know this until you just read it off this paper.
Oh, I do. Like, I really, really enjoy Tyler. I think it's
Hecklin.
Hecklin. I
he's
love his version of Superman. And I'm excited to watch it play with all of these other versions and see. Has Dean Cain been confirmed yet?
I'm not sure.
It wouldn't surprise
I don't
me
think
because
him
he's-
or Terry Hatcher have had a confirmation because
Right.
they've been in the CW DC universe also. So I would think that they would appear, but I don't think it's been confirmed.
Kevin
Yeah.
Conroy's confirmed.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah,
The best Batman. And
Yep.
John Wesley Shipp as the Flash, which that's for the 90s kids because I remember the Flash. CBS scheduled it against The Simpsons. Which is
How
stupid.
rude.
And I'm not talking about now Simpsons. I'm talking about like peak early Simpsons.
90s Simpsons.
And the Flash, Flash TV show.
Well, and I believe that he's also been because he's the same one that plays.
The father, right?
Yeah, I believe that he plays the
He
dad.
plays the dad of Barry Allen.
of Barry
right?
Allen on So
Yeah.
he's been also in the mix.
Also,
Henry Allen,
Also,
he's
Dawson
excellent.
Leary's dad.
Also
On Dawson's Creek.
Man, he just lives at the WBCW studios.
And then I think there's been rumors also about Mark Hamill because
That would be great.
he was in as Trickster, but then
Yeah.
maybe even voicing it. I don't know. There's so many opportunities here. And as all jokes aside, I'm very excited that Tom Welling will be reprising his role. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might, at the risk of being completely lost,
You gotta do
I
it,
think I
Dan.
might watch this. No, because I like it. It's cool.
Those crossovers have so much exposition dump.
Oh, yeah.
You will be fine when you
Yeah.
watch it.
Big question for
I know people
everybody.
who only watch the
Yeah,
crossovers because they're fun.
They reset
and they
them
don't watch
everything.
anything else.
Yeah.
That's true. Big and final question for you guys. Is Tom Welling going to be wearing the suit?
Hope so.
You
That's
gotta
not a yes or
give it
no.
to
You're
me.
no fun.
Don't do it if you're not going to put him in the suit. Dan says no.
I say no suit.
No suit?
I need it. I
So
need
yes.
the suit.
That's
Give
so
it.
yes.
If you're gonna fan service me all the way.
There was such an outrage about how Smallville ended without it. Yeah. Dude, I'd say yes.
ready to move
Absolutely.
forward.
Give me this Superman 4 play.
Thank you.
Go full Krypton.
You should always go full Krypton. So, but Greg, do you think they actually will? I know you want it, but do you think they will?
Didn't they have him like underneath in the last episode wearing the Brandon Routh Superman suit, which is what Brandon Routh is, which
Yeah.
Brandon Routh is going to be wearing in here. So they would have to give him like a different Superman suit, wouldn't they?
Well, I
Doesn't matter. Yeah, have him. Yes, I would say he has to wear the suit.
I
He has
want
to.
like a super trio. I want Brandon Routh and Tom Welling and Tyler Hecklin to all just be standing looking at each other like, your suit, up suit, but whose suit's cooler? Like, just kind of standing there.
That actually feels very in line with what they do in this universe.
Which
so.
is probably why I love it.
Yep.
Because it's totally in my wheelhouse. Anyway, we just got Dan to fully commit 100%. He told us that he would, without no doubts in his mind, watch this.
You know what?
That's what I heard. Yeah,
say it right here. I will watch this.
I didn't mean to bully you into that,
No,
but
that sounds
I
interesting.
did. So that's very exciting. Then we'll definitely be talking about that in the future. I think that's in December, the 5-part.
Yeah, I believe they usually do the crossovers where it's like the first part in December and then the second part in January, but I could be wrong.
So I think it will be in 1 week in December, and then
Yeah.
Arrow will be coming back in for a final goodbye for like 2 episodes after that. So we've got a lot of stuff to look forward to.
I love that show.
Including tomorrow when you guys will get to more fan questions because we don't have time to.
But it's Sunday, December 8th is when it starts on Supergirl. Would be the first.
I'm so
Sunday,
ready.
December 8th. Did you just say that or make that up?
Nope, just
December 8th. Okay.
No, he was talking to you. Yeah.
Oh my God! You know when you're like, I don't know what he said, but I'm just gonna repeat what I heard, and
Yes, and.
I think it's about time to get out of here because that brain is really slowing down. Danielle, where can everybody keep up with you?
Here, and then also just at Danielle Radford on Twitter.
Great, Greg.
The Real Rejects on YouTube, at the Greg Alba on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you.
Cool. These are going swimmingly right now, Dan.
At Murrell Dan on Twitter and stackup.org in the comments. In the description and all that stuff.
And also, when is Comic-Con? When can everybody see this amazing?
October
2nd. It was when she said it was
October
Comic-Con.
2nd.
It's all on the link that they click
It's
on.
all
It's all on the
There's a
link,
little- there's a
guys.
link down there.
Just
You can
testing
click
you
on
at
it.
home,
If
seeing how
you
much you
are-
remember from what Roth said. It was really great
Pop
to have her
quiz.
also, so shout out to Roth.
Yeah.
And I'm everywhere at Roxy Striar. Thank you, and amazing job to Billy in the booth. for
Billy
doing all the
handling
things.
business.
Thank you to Ryan as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here.